It's been a really wild week. Let's relive it. And I've just come to a crazy conclusion. It's not really crazy, though. I'll lay it out next.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the Locker Room on YouTube. You know what it is. Let's get it. Hey. Locker Room. Yeah, we in the locker room. Texas talk. Yeah, you know what we about to do. Localize every angle's what we really do. We the source, we the pulse of the city too. Landlocked, got the game in the headlock. Localize every time, can't stop, won't stop. Yeah, we top two and we not too. Plugged in daily digital on YouTube. We got taste for days, opinions to give, we got takeaways.
It is the Locker Room, number one source for Texans digital content. I am Landry Locker. Shout out to everyone who came out to Spanky's today. It was a great time with myself, Cody Stutes, everyone involved. I really appreciate everyone for rolling out. It was a lot of fun, and there's plenty more where that came from. And I can assure you that it's gonna be fun moving forward. So I want to get into a couple of things that we heard today, specifically the Diana Russini report. She says there's some stuff coming out with the Texans. And this was after she said that CJ Stroud was awesome. And I think that's really what matters the most. By the way, shout out to Sleeper for sponsoring this video. But I want to get right into this Diana Russini thing. She says the Texans might have some deep issues. And immediately, this was the first thing that anyone wanted to talk about was, what are these deep issues? Is it a CJ Stroud thing? Is it a Locker? Like, what is going on with Diana Russini? And I think that the number one thing that needs to be noted, and this has been noted a number of times, is just like his previous predecessor, who was football king here, Nick Caserio is not good at hiding who he feeds information to. He's trash. He's not good at it. Bill O'Brien obviously was feeding information to Albert Breer. We all knew that. The joke was with John Lopez, my old radio host. Shout out to John Lopez, the OG. Hey, Breer, you up? Anytime Albert Breer said anything, you knew that it was coming directly from Bill O'Brien. And recently, Diana Russini, it's been very obvious that anything that she has about the Texans is from Nick Caserio. I don't want to say, hey, Diana, you up? Because it might make Nick Caserio look silly, but it doesn't look any less silly than the fact that he's already telegraphed this. So it's very important to note that whenever Diana Russini says anything, whenever Diana Russini has anything, that she's getting it from Nick Caserio. It's not a matter of ownership. It's not a matter of anything. Anything that Diana Russini gets is from Nick Caserio. And he has made that very clear. He has telegraphed that and all that. I know how smart he thinks he is, but that has become completely apparent. And anyone in media, anyone actually in the know knows this. This is an inside info that he told us. This is just 100% info that anyone with a pulse, if you have one of these and you're around that building, you know that Diana Russini with the Texans info, it comes from Nick Caserio. So that's one thing to keep in mind when it comes to anything that Diana Russini says. Other thing is, and this is kind of like a bullet point, she kind of just likes to talk. She kind of just likes to be around. She kind of just likes to talk. So a lot of times, maybe this is just a little bit of like what she says is kind of just her talking because she likes to talk. And I equate this to the John McClain, where John McClain is one of the best reporters in the history of Houston media and Houston football. But a lot of times he goes on radio and he says stuff, and a lot of times reports get conflicted with talking. So there is that element. But make no mistake about it. Anything that Diana Russini reports is from Nick Caserio. He can deny it. If he wants to deny it, he can deny it to me. But everyone in their right mind knows that Nick Caserio feeds Diana Russini information. My opinion, educated, and it's not alone. So there is that element of that when it comes to the Nick Caserio, Diana Rossini type of thing. 100%, 100,000%. Here's the other thing that I think is interesting. I don't think Nick Caserio would want to throw a player under the bus that's currently here. So I have 3 theories as to what this Diana Rossini thing could be. Theory 1, and this is a long stretch, would be that Caserio is going to throw CJ Stroud under the bus. I don't think that would happen because if you look at the clip that is making the rounds, Diana praises CJ Stroud a number of times. She praises him, talks about how awesome he is and all that type of stuff. So I don't think that's the direction that she's heading. Theory number 2, and there's 3. Theory number 2 is CJ Gardner-Johnson is about to get blamed for that, like the vibe in the locker room, which would be hilarious. I'm not sitting here and acting like CJ Gardner-Johnson wasn't like annoying and wasn't a bad football player, but that would be kind of weird to be the thing that you say is about to come out when it's kind of already come out. Like we've heard a lot about CJ Gardner-Johnson and locker room vibes and all that type of stuff. So we've kind of already heard that. So that would be kind of a stretch, and it maybe could be tied to Diana liking to talk out of her ass a little bit. Theory number 3 is Diana Rossini's talking to David Mulugheta, and this is deja vu. David deja vu, where CJ Stroud is going to come out and indirectly talk about how the Texans have done him a disservice. And quite frankly, the fact that they're running the Patriot system, the fact that he's looking the way he is, and the organization is sounding and looking the way they are, which is kind of familiar to another Mulugheta client, Deshaun Watson, this is not far-fetched. So the theory 3 is that maybe she's talking about David Mulugheta, and maybe she's saying, like, she's talking to him, and the Texans are about to get thrown under the bus, which, by the way, when you start doing Patriot shit and you start getting exposed for doing Patriot shit when you were against doing Patriot shit, you're kind of putting yourself out there. You're kind of putting yourself out there. Cal McNair said, we're not Patriot South. Now, all of a sudden, you have CJ Stroud watching early 2000s Patriots. David Mulugheta is trying to get CJ Stroud a big contract. So maybe David Mulugheta is feeding the Caserio whisper, and maybe Nick Caserio will learn, like B.O.B. never learned, you don't feed people who don't really have any loyalty to you. These hoes ain't loyal. I'm not calling Diana a hoe. I'm just saying, if David Mulugheta is going to give her like some sort of information, then maybe that's the direction that's going. So those are the 3 theories when it comes to that. I think we need to keep a close eye on that. I think it's pretty ridiculous to think that Nick Caserio just thought he could feed Diana Rossini stuff and her never say anything about it. I thought it was kind of it's actually really hilarious that he thought that could be the case. AA says he's visiting Germany, had to tune in to my boy. Appreciate you, my brother. Shout out to Germany. Juice Scruggs. We take a break here. We'll get back to the thick stuff. Not Diana. But Juice Scruggs, he played 54% of the snaps at left guard the last game. I've been all over this Juice Scruggs thing, and I noticed that he wasn't getting a lot of reps in OTAs. He was basically holding the bag. And then as the pads came on, he started getting more and more reps. I talked to Juice Scruggs today, and I asked him about my observations and my theory. And I thought Juice Scruggs said some interesting things. So let's go in the trenches, take a break from the gossip, and let's hear what Juice Scruggs had to say about that. Here's Juice Scruggs. Look at that intensity right there. I have a tiger. Let's hear from Juice Scruggs.
Obviously, we saw you back in the lineup last week. What makes you why is Juice Scruggs a better player now than maybe he was his first couple of years?
Just the game slowing down. Just knowing more, like what defenses, like the tendencies, what they run. Just learn the game for real. Like I said, it's slowing down for me, and just going out there whenever I get the chance and just showing my taking advantage of my opportunity.
It felt like just watching that as camp went on, you seemed to get more comfortable early on, not as many reps.
Yeah.
And it almost, we say often, wait till the pads come on. It did feel like you climbed up the depth chart and seemed to perform better when the pads came on. Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah, no doubt. Also, too, my reps just went up, whether it was, injuries we had or whatever. Just like I said, just whenever I'm out there, take advantage of the opportunity. And, especially with O-line, that's football when the pads get on. So it definitely helped for sure.
How do you keep that mindset? Because some people, the reps get taken away, they get discouraged, and then you never see them really back on the field. How do you?
No doubt.
You build
it's definitely something I've learned since being in the league. My rookie year I didn't get my reps necessarily taken away, but I got hurt. So it's definitely something I learned. Just staying in the playbook, just knowing that your time's going to come, and just keep grinding no matter what.
What are you seeing from Jeffrey Simmons?
Just what you always see from him. High motor, tough guy. It's going to be a fun matchup Sunday.
In Penn State, Oregon, you got
Penn State by 100.
By 100, come on. Oregon's going to beat their ass. Come on, bro. You know that. I know that. Everyone knows that. Jalen Reed knows that too. Talked to him today as well. We'll hear from Jalen Pitre in a second. Interesting things from Juice Scruggs there. So I dismissed him, and I was calling him Juice Blacklock. And I did notice that when the pads came on, and if y'all follow along, like I said, like the reps are going up. Looks like they have more confidence in him. And, here, look at Juice Scruggs kind of doing his thing. And then all of a sudden he gets in the game. By the way, Juice Scruggs, best pass blocking grade in the last game. Best pass blocking grade. And we take PFF with a grain of salt. But that's what it was. And the eye test told you he was decent. He was decent. Decent given what you expect from this O-line and what you had seen from Laken Tomlinson, who played the other 46% who they brought in. So the interesting thing that I heard from Juice Scruggs there was, he said that he stayed focused, but he basically said, I finally started getting more reps. So he didn't ever acknowledge that he was a worse player. He just said, I started getting more reps. And they brought in Laken Tomlinson, who was their guy, who I think is a good culture guy. And hopefully he remains a good culture guy if he gets benched. Like, hopefully if he gets benched, Laken Tomlinson remains a good culture guy and continues to mentor guys or whatever, including Juice Scruggs. I don't anticipate Juice Scruggs is going to be like a great left guard. He looks better than Laken Tomlinson, though. And as I've said, and I didn't say this after the fact, I said this throughout camp, you can see what's going on with Juice Scruggs. He said that he wasn't getting enough reps. So maybe that's another example of favoritism by this offensive staff, which wouldn't be anything new based on what we've seen. And it would basically be a repetition of last year where Shaq Mason and Kenyon Green were handed starting jobs, and then all of a sudden it was apparent that they didn't deserve those. And that goes back to Nick Caserio, who's going to speak in 2 weeks. That goes back to Nick Caserio basically having to explain why he thought that his offensive line process and everything that they got going didn't deserve to be questioned. It's something to take a look at. It really is. And I think that Juice Scruggs, he's got his flaws as a ball player, but when you hear that, you just kind of wonder the F is going on with this whole offensive staff. We might kind of know. We might just kind of be trying to avoid that.
You ain't never hate.
Swarm.
Big George on the soup. He says, Big George from earlier. Shout out to you. Told you I had a sneaky suspicion Cody was going to say something about feeling small. Shout out to George. George and his wife are out there. Big George, truck driver for Coca-Cola. He says, great to meet y'all. We'll definitely be coming again. I'll bring you a Coke/Monster next time. Now, I cannot have Monsters because I used to be addicted to Monster Energy. The white Monsters I used to be addicted to. I used to have like 10 or 12 a day. No lie. I had to have my gallbladder out, would drink them before I went to bed, everything like that. Love the white Monsters. Had to give up those. But shout out to George. Big George and his wifey. My caffeine addiction was crazy. Daniel D says, I'm not addicted to that
high-grade marijuana called Kush on the streets.
That doesn't hurt your gallbladder. Daniel D says, Landry, do you think offense requires CJ to diagnose the defense? And he can't do that because the S2 test shows he sucks. No, but I do think this offense is very difficult. It is very difficult, and it does ask for a lot, and we haven't seen a lot of success from it outside of Tom Brady. So I would not say that. Traden says Blue Monsters, those are good too. The Reds, all of them. All the zeros are nice. But yeah, 10 or 12, 100%. No lie, no cap. 10 or 12. Because you buy 3 at a time. They were in the vending machine. No lie, 10, 12. No lie. 100%. The sand, like two Sam's packs a week. 100%. 100% on the Monsters. No lie. So the Diana Rossini thing, to go back to that, to kind of put a bow on it, I think it's either she's getting information from Olagetta and CJ's about to shit on the Texans, rightfully so, because they're doing Patriot shit now. That's what Deshaun wanted out of. Deshaun wanted out of Patriot shit, and they're doing Patriot shit now. So it's either that, or it's CJ Gardner-Johnson, or Nick Caserio is feeding her some stuff, and he's going to throw CJ under the bus. But Nick Caserio's not smart. Like, I mean, he's really not. Like, he's nerdy and he watches CNBC and all that type of stuff, but he's not really that like smart at covering stuff up. You're not slick. Like, you look like an idiot. You don't look smart. And the Diana Rossini thing is very blatantly obvious. It comes directly from you, just like the Breer stuff did with B.O.B. So that's what that is with Nick Caserio. Let's hear from Jalen Pitre. So the reports were that CJ, am I too loose tonight? Let me know, chat. Am I too loose tonight? It's 10:30. I was at Spanky's, and really thank you to everyone who was at Spanky's. It was incredible. The part 2 of this, and we'll keep this going. But shout out to everyone who joined us at Spanky's. I'm not going to skip a stream. But Jalen Pitre spoke on the CJ Gardner-Johnson stuff. And we heard the reports that CJ Gardner-Johnson had issues with a teammate in the contract. And naturally, we thought about Jalen Pitre. I'll let y'all decide. Like, this is Jalen Pitre talking to the media. Just read between the lines yourselves. Here was his media availability, talking about everything that went down. Starting out with my questions.
Overall thoughts on the release of Gardner-Johnson and what the vibe was. Were you surprised?
Yeah, I was a little surprised. You know, obviously when any of my teammates get released or letting go, like, it's always tough. But, you know, that's the nature of the business. So, you know, it's all about moving forward and getting this win against Tennessee.
There were reports of maybe some chemistry issues. Did you see any of that?
Not necessarily. You know, every time I had any encounter with CJ, it was always, you know, welcoming, and, you know, he always had good energy.
What does not necessarily mean, bro? Not necessarily. Okay.
So every time I had any encounter with CJ, it was always, you know, welcoming, and, you know, he always had good energy. A lot of the things that people, you know, see on TV, the fired upness, like all of that, that's the notion that I got from CJ.
You, as one of the guys that they call upon to be a leader, do you take it upon yourself to kind of rally the guys or get back on track when something like this happens?
Not necessarily. You know, I'm just trying to keep the main thing, like I said, making sure that we're focused on Tennessee. So, I mean, if you see that as rallying the guys, but I see that as, just the process that we go into each week. So, like I said, just worried about, moving forward and trying to get a win.
So challenges it when a guy like that has been a part of the defense for months now, and all of a sudden he's not available. Kind of challenges.
It definitely is a little bit of a challenge, but we have a lot of guys in this locker room that are very capable, and yeah. So, like I said, it's just about understanding what we have going into the game, and overall just executing. Yeah, dynamic playmaker.
Alpha
That
Eric.
can make all the throws. It's a reason why he was a top pick, and gonna be a good challenge for us come Sunday.
Both teams not having a lead, do you think that changes the atmosphere a little bit because both teams want something and both only one's going to get it?
It's crazy that you said that. I didn't even know that they haven't won yet, but
How do you not know that?
I know we're hungry for a win, so I bet they are as well.
They've got like MJ behind you guys who's played a lot in the system. You think that maybe helps?
Is that
with
weird to
the
y'all?
experience in the system? And
Is that weird to y'all? Maybe I'm a nerdy ass dude.
Oh yeah, for sure. MJ is locked in. He knows what it takes, and I'm excited to be able to play with him on Sunday. I know it's gonna be fun. Spend a lot of time with MJ, so looking forward to it.
Man, this is me being a nerdy ass mofo. So I'll admit right now, if I'm being a nerdy ass mofo, you can tell me. I agree, but like, I liked how CJ Stroud, like my favorite quote from CJ ever was when he said that like he used to get pissed when the Lakers would lose, and he was talking about like sports fandom and like, yeah, when our fans get pissed, blah blah blah. Like I'm mad because when my Lakers lose, I'm pissed and blah. Jalen Pitre doesn't know the Titans haven't won a game. Do you watch football, brother? Like do you watch Football Night in America? Do you look at the standings? That's crazy, man. There will be like, there is like a lot of things that I can tolerate. I can tolerate any religious view. I can tolerate any political view. I can tolerate like any hobbies. If you don't like sports, it's hard for me to vibe with you, man. How? You don't know that they haven't won a game yet? What? It's fucking Friday. What are you doing, man? So if they were undefeated, would you know that they're undefeated? That's a weird thing. Maybe he's being like extra hardo and it's like an extra bit where it's like, we don't worry about what the opponent's win-loss record is. Maybe that might be it. He might have like the extreme coach's pet disease where you kind of take it too far where you're like, we don't worry about the win-loss record of our opponent no matter what. No matter what, it doesn't matter. Every opponent matters. It's about going 1-0. But you don't know that they're winless, man. I don't know. I'll let y'all decide on that body language. But that's crazy to me. That's crazy to me. Maybe it's a bit, but that's crazy. And I'd already asked my question, so I was just kind of like holding up the like whenever it's kind of weird. So I try to get the questions in, and then like whenever they throw it out, like you try to like find the stopping point. You don't want to miss anything, but like once like the generic questions go through, you kind of throw the phone down and let him get it. Like, but huh? You don't know that? Cool. It's a fine bit, but I kind of judge people on that. I kind of judge folks that don't like sports. That's just me though. That's just me. Team player says every game's 0-0. I guess. But I feel like you should know that they're losing, you know? I mean, I don't know. I kind of like, did he actually not know? Oh no, I like Jalen. Jalen's a good guy. I don't think Jalen's as good as they think he is, but Jalen's a good guy. He's a stand-up guy. And he is a valuable football player. I think Dari Gumbawale should never step on the field on offense in a non-emergency situation. I don't think that should ever happen. They agree now. It just took him fumbling and it cost the game for them to know that. But I think Jalen Pitre is like a decent football player. I don't think he's as good as they think he is. But I do like Jalen, and I do think that he's a good football player when used right. And they have used him right the last couple of years. So I think that deserves a little bit of a shout out. Speaking of shout outs, I want to shout out the greatness that is TDECU. Shout out to TDECU, the best credit union in the game and a sponsor of SNL and the locker room. I got nothing but love for TDECU and everything that they've done and everything that they do. The best time to buy Texans gear is when they're down. When they're down is the best time to buy Texans gear. And you can benefit by getting the TDECU Texans debit card right now, and you'll benefit in your everyday life, but you'll also save 15% at the Texans online team shop. Jerseys, hats, hoodies, whatever you want. You might go get a CJ Gardner-Johnson jersey on discount. No matter what you want, it's all 15% off. No matter what, whether you want a Jalen Pitre jersey, CJ Gardner-Johnson, CJ Stroud, whatever you want, you got it. You can show your Texans pride and you can score savings while you do it. Visit tdecu.org/Texans. Get your card today. Membership required, insured by NCUA. And that's not all they do. They got a lot going on when it comes to the Bucky's card, everything. Go to TDECU, check it out. Give them a look. They got you covered. Shout out to TDECU. Team player says he's glad he didn't get his Mixon jersey. Yeah, might be a good throwback though 10 years from now. I look at jerseys 10 years from now. How you gonna roll on that? How you gonna roll on that? Reminder, like the video, subscribe, right along. Thank you to everyone who joined us at Spanky's. So I want to do like a two-piece combo of trips back in time, and then I'm really going to drop the bomb that I want to drop. And I dropped this today in front of the crowd at Spanky's, but I really want to hammer this home. I think this opinion will get stolen. A lot of my opinions get stolen. I'm not just saying that. Like they get stolen. There's like a snowball effect of what the opinions are. Whether it's like the Caley, like they get stolen, and it's good. It's fine. It's not a big deal, but they get stolen. And this one is you haven't heard this anywhere else. So like when you start hearing this, you know where it came from. It's not like a Nick Caley is Patriots or whatever. But this opinion will get stolen. We'll get to that in 3 minutes. But I want to talk about the trips that are being talked about and the trip that maybe could be as much reality as that. And the trip back to 2018 is where I want to start. 2018, the 0-3 start that we keep hearing about with the Texans. Bill O'Brien, yeah, they rallied the troops. Frank Reich went for it, blah, blah, blah. They end up going 11-5, and then they got their ass whooped in the playoffs. King Bill became a thing, and the Texans really just fell off after that because they overreacted after the 0-3 start. Like, what happened was Bill O'Brien got this reputation as, oh, he's a great coach because his team never quits, and this team is so they have so much belief in their coach, and this coach is going to be the king, and blah blah blah. It was a joke of a season, and now all of a sudden it's getting romanticized. So screw that season. Get rid of that season. What you need to look at is the 5-5 path. That's what we need to look at. Tennessee this week, The next time they play Tennessee, sandwich in the games in between, and if you win both Tennessee games, you go 3-2. That's what you look at. Screw this 2018 rally cry. These people don't realize how pathetic they are, even like putting that into the air. You wanted to get rid of the BOB era, so quit bringing that crap up. It's trash. It sucks. Quit mentioning that. Again, I might be too loose tonight, but it is what it is. Here's my question, though, when it comes to trips back in time. Because you're much, 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 much closer to this than you are this 2018 pipe dream and ridiculous crap that you talk about. And I want to go back to 2020. 2020. What if the Texans go back to 2020 instead of 2018? And they start out 0-4. What if the Texans start out 0-4 instead of this rally cry from 2018? What happens? What happens if that happens? Are there any consequences? Are there any consequences at all for that? Are there any consequences for 0-4 start? The last time a coach coming off back-to-back division titles started out 0-4, he got his ass fired. That's what happened with Bill O'Brien. And I have found such fascination in talking to people about the confidence level in this game, and most of them don't really have much confidence. This is the lowest level of confidence heading into a Titans game that I've seen in a long time. And I'll be honest, I think they're going to win. I think the Texans are going to win. I think they're going to cover the 7. I think the Texans are going to get the job done. I really, really do. But I don't think the fans do. I don't think the fans do. We'll get to the FanDuel pick in a sec. I just pulled that up. I don't think the fans do. So what are the consequences if that happens? Because we're talking about all this rally cry. All of a sudden, Bill O'Brien's like the rally cry guy. What are we what are we saying if the Texans go to 0-4? Bill O'Brien won the division title in 18-19. He was king of the world. And then he went 0-4. Now, why did people hate Bill O'Brien so much? Because it was the Patriots BS. Patriots BS, Easterby. The Patriot stuff is back. It's here. It took a vacation. It's here. Nick Caley can sit here and like say whatever he wants to say, but it's here. And let's just go back and listen to that real quick. Nick Caley. And this was the funniest thing about Nick Caley with his Patriots crap. He started talking week-to-week game plan, and he didn't even realize that he was literally sounding exactly like Bill O'Brien. Let's go back and listen to old Nick Caley.
This system, it's been spoken of as kind of can be hard for players to pick up, at least based on past experience on it. And there's like a limited amount of success without Tom Brady running it. Why is this the right system to get CJ Stroud back on track?
Yeah, I think. Well, again, this is our system. This is not a copy and paste New England Patriots system. Okay, if that's what you're alluding to, I'm asking. But relative to the system, I think everything we've done has been very intentional. to be able to cater it around our players, to simplify make the verbiage very, and we stripped everything down to the studs in the spring. So I think the thing that this system does is allow our guys to be able to have enough bandwidth and flexibility to alter schemes to fit the guys that we have from week to week. And that's what it does, whether it's, again, in the run game, gap schemes, perimeter plays, zone, mid zone, wide zone, like we can activate those based on who we're facing and who we have available. And I think from a language standpoint, we've cleaned that up and from the time we got here.
Todd said it was the New England system. He said it looked familiar. Todd Bowles said it, and that's all I ask. Yeah, that's the only reason I asked. But with the process, it seems like how are you confident in the process if the results early on aren't playing out? In other words, do you go back and say maybe the process is the problem? It's not necessarily what's happening on game day.
Yeah, sure. We look at everything. So from a process standpoint, look, when we go out and we execute and we do the things that we're supposed to do out on the practice field or even in moments in the games this year, we've had success and done good things, and there has been efficient runs and there has been production. Okay, it just hasn't been to the level of being consistent enough. And I think, again, I believe in the process. I believe in what we're asking the guys to do. And we're going to evolve and change to do. We're not going to ever ask a guy to do something that we don't believe that they can do. I would never do that in any situation. So, the focus is on just playing cleaner football, being more consistent, and if we can do that, I'm confident that you'll see results. I really am.
Bob, he's F, dude. And I'm glad that I could bring this to the forefront. We were lied to. I was lied to. You were lied to. I'm a voice of the fan, and I'm the voice of journalistic integrity, and I'm the voice of covering this team to the ultimate. He lied. They lied. They said this was a hybrid. They said this was the Texans offense. This is the New England offense. If it works, okay, but don't lie to us and tell us what it is and what we know what it is. It's the New England offense. So now. And I'm not going to sit here and pat myself on the back. I'm not one of these people who doesn't think that fans are smart. I think fans are smarter than they've ever been. I don't think DeMeco thinks that. I think DeMeco thinks he's smarter than every fan in the world. I don't think DeMeco respects fans. I'll say that with a straight face, and I'll put that on everything I love. I don't think DeMeco respects fans. I don't think Caserio respects fans. I'll put that on everything I love too. He doesn't respect fans. They think they're smarter than every fan. They think that they invented football, and they both have this Patriot attitude. But now, Nick Caley, it's very apparent. We see it, and everyone sees it that this is the Patriot system. So whether it works or not, don't sit here and tell me this is some hybrid, and don't act like saying week to week is some way of escaping the Patriot shit. Because that's the exact same thing that Bill O'Brien said to me, blah, blah, blah. I like B.O.B. I think he was like a football idiot at times, especially as a GM. I like B.O.B. Broken bread with B.O.B. But that's the same crap that he said with the week-to-week game plan. You sound the same way, brother. So he's screwed. This insult of everyone's intelligence where a guy spends 2 years with Sean McVay, you bring him in, and we think that there's going to be some sort of Rams elements. There's no Rams elements here. He's a Patriot guy. He sounds like Nick Caserio. He didn't even hire his own staff. He didn't. How many offensive guys did Nick Caley bring in? They kept the whole offensive staff here. So that bullshit's over. Figure it out. Do what you got to do. I'm rooting for you, man. I would love for Nick Caley to be the best offensive coordinator. I would love for Nick Caley to be a head coach. Matter of fact, I would love for Nick Caley to go 14-0 the rest of the way and end up being the Tennessee Titans coach and beating the Texans' ass. I would love. I mean, I don't want him to beat the Texans' ass, but I would love for him to warrant being so good at this gig that he ends up being a head coach. But I've gone from wondering about CJ Stroud and stuff, and then now I realize CJ Stroud's in the same situation Deshaun Watson rightfully wanted out of, which is what I said. And that's the bullshit meter of that. So that's just kind of where we're at with Nick Caley. You went from sounding like Sean McVay to now all of a sudden you basically sound like a Caserio puppet. None of these rookies can get on the field. You're gaslighting us. You're trusting your process despite your results sucking. This is literally a BOB vibe. So this ain't about an overreaction of 3 weeks. This is about regressing and moonwalking the ass back to what no one wanted. What I do want is Texans turf. I actually already got Texans turf, so I ain't got to want it. Love me some Texans turf. Shout out to Texans turf. Shout out to Dan and his team. Dan's the guy. They work their ass off, man. And they really do. They customize the turf. The drainage is great. It doesn't go through the fence. It literally drains the second that it rains to where you can walk outside barefoot. Y'all have heard me say this 100 times. Or probably playing a drinking game with me saying that. But I'm serious. I shopped around for turf. I wanted turf. I shopped around. It was very discouraging because a bunch of these turf companies are scumbag, low-life scumbags who rip people off. Dan and his team do not do that. They look out for the common folks. They handle the baller jobs, and they take care of you, whether you want putting greens, play areas, whatever. Less mud, less dragging in, all that. You can go to TexansTurf.com. They got you covered. And I can promise you that Dan the man will take care of you. Shout out to Texans Turf. If you thought about doing the turf thing, it can be a stressful process. I already did it for you. TexansTurf.com. All right, so this is really what I want to talk about. And this is hard for me to actually realize. And there's two things that I kind of want to touch on. And I want to go back to the Jalen Pitre thing and why I actually feel sorry for Jalen Pitre. I'll get to that in a sec. But before that, I want to touch on this the state of the Texans organization and this reemergence of the Patriot way. This sucks. I'm going to warn you ahead of time. This sucks. But I don't think it's I don't think it's deniable. I don't think there's an absolute result or thought to it. But I think this does need to get accepted. We functioned in the last decade where we're kind of able to take figures of the Patriot way and we're kind of able to villainize them and then find like heroes that are kind of combating the evil forces that are the Patriot way. Bill O'Brien with Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson was a victim. He was a combat. He was like the hope of overcoming the Patriot way. And we kind of talked about that. Kind of Nick Caserio with Jack Easterby because he was kind of able to separate himself from Jack Easterby, and Cal McNair came in and said, we do not consider ourselves Patriot South. And they really kind of had to get rid of Jack Easterby. So you kind of got to separate yourself from that. I feel like there's been a feel, and I was a part of this, where we sat there and we were talking about, well, who would be the first to go if this thing hit rock bottom? And if and what is the shelf life of Nick Caserio in comparison to DeMeco Ryans? And I still believe it's a fact. I still believe that, like, if they had to choose, and they being Cal and Hannah, like if they had to choose like who has the longer shelf life, and I would agree with the decision on it, then I think DeMeco would have the longer shelf life than Nick Caserio. I think his shelf life is actually longer than any player, coach, whatever. I think that's the right way to go. And you talk about it, and it's like, well, if that happens, then you need to get rid of anything that has anything to do with the Patriot way. Any player, any coach that has anything to do with the Patriots, you get rid of Nick Caserio and you start over accordingly, and and then you let DeMeco figure it out. I think DeMeco is the Patriot way. I know that he played here. I know that he brought a lot of juice and hope to this organization. And quite frankly, he walked into the best coaching situation possible. He had the most cap space. He had the most draft equity. It was appealing. He had his pick of the litter. And he ended up picking Houston for a number of reasons, sentimental and also football-wise. But I think the way DeMeco functions, the way that he handles himself, the way that it goes, like when DeMeco Ryans comes out and says that him and Nick Caserio are aligned, I don't think it's Bill O'Brien, Brian Game bullshit. I feel like they truly are aligned. And I think if you separate the romanticism of DeMeco Ryans being the captain of the Texans for a long time, and the hope that he brought and the excitement that he brought, following up a very unlikable guy in Bill O'Brien, the more that you look at it, the more that you hear it, the more you see his philosophy. DeMeco Ryans is the Patriot way. Everything that they think about, the paranoia, the over-the-top stuff, I feel like DeMeco Ryans is the Patriot way. And that hurts me to say, but that's what I think about when DeMeco Ryans handles himself. He's paranoid. He doesn't necessarily respect fans. He doesn't necessarily respect media. And I don't care about respecting media, but he doesn't. He trusts his process no matter what goes down. He's married to it. There's limitations that he doesn't really necessarily pay attention to. DeMeco is the Patriot way. So I don't think you can separate the two. I really don't think you can separate the two. DeMeco Ryans is Patriots. If DeMeco Ryans had been drafted by New England, he would have been the number one Patriot guy in the world. And he would have adapted all their philosophies and everything like that. It's not different. It's not different. So like the romanticism, like pull it back a little bit. It's not different. So I don't know that he can quit Caserio because I think DeMeco is the Patriot way. And that's not an uneducated opinion. And it's actually not alone. There's a lot of people who know DeMeco very closely, who follow DeMeco very closely, who've worked with DeMeco very closely, who covered DeMeco very closely, who think the same thing. I'm not sitting here acting like this is like some sort of like gutsy like revelation. This is just a realization of it. I didn't want it to be a thing. He was originally an escape. But I don't know if it's just because he's been with Caserio for a long time. I don't know if it's a matter of like you're around him a little bit longer so you kind of see it. But DeMeco Ryans is the Patriot way. So this thing that like this whole notion that, oh, you get rid of Nick Caserio and you get rid of anything that has anything to do with Patriots, I think DeMeco is the same exact way. Maybe the next GM comes in, he knows how to scout O-lineman better, which Nick Caserio said not to worry about that. That might be completely different. That might be a completely different situation. It might matter more, honestly. But DeMeco Ryans is the Patriot way. He's the same thing. Exact same thing. He does not respect fans. He does not respect media. He does not respect anything other than players, and anything else is just a complete lie. And I'm just telling you the truth. I'm not sitting there saying, I'm keeping it 100. I got the real talk. I'm just telling you. It's what it is. It's 100% what it is. And he would probably say it like you if you catch DeMeco talking, it's like, yeah, I'm not saying fans don't know this. They don't know, blah, 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 blah. It's the same thing. It's the same thing.
You ain't never hate.
Swarm.
It is. Sorry. Poor boy Jay says, do you think all the doom and gloom and lack of confidence is coming from CJ? CJ could be early signs of CTE. Come on. No, I think it's early signs of, man, there's some struggles going on. I don't think CJ's gotten like hit in the dome that much. He had the Jets thing, but no. I think it's questions about the organizational structure. And I think if the two Diana things, as I go back to, are either Casario is going to throw someone under the bus or Mulligetta is going to throw someone under the bus. Those are the stories. But no, I don't think the CTE thing. I don't know if you're joking or not. Poor boy Jay says 50-year-old Brady would be 3-0. Top 5 offense right now. Come on. Come on, bro. Crazy. Troy says, "Doesn't respect fans see training camp." I don't know what happened with training camp. What happened with training camp with DeMeco? What did he do? What did he say? What did he do? Doesn't matter. It's facts, though. It's facts. We talked about it earlier. I want to put this out there too. I think Casario screwed Pitre. I think he screwed him. And I think he can recover from this, but I don't know. But he's supposed to be one of your leaders, and you bring up a guy that's basically allegedly talking crap about him, and then he has to go talk about it. Like, does the culture like take some sort of hit with when you bring in a guy and you commit that much to him, like they did, and it doesn't work out? Like, does your culture take some sort of hit? The answer should be yes, right? And that was the first question that I asked Jalen Pitre and CJ Gardner-Johnson. Like, how does this mix? How is this going to mix? How is this going to go down? And it didn't go down well. But Nick Casario thought it would. And 3 weeks in, it ended up failing. Kind of feels like you screwed over Pitre. Now, I don't know if Pitre loses the locker room based on what you did, but if you think Jalen Pitre is one of your culture guys, you give him an early contract, and someone comes in and kind of polarizes things and ends up leaving or ends up sucking. Like, I feel like Casario kind of screwed him up. We'll see how they rally back. I don't think we can judge it this week, but moving forward, maybe we can figure it out that way. But that's wild. Shout out to everyone who joined us at Spanky's. Very much enjoyed it. It meant a hell of a lot to us for everyone that showed up. First beer was on us. We much appreciated it. And there's plenty more where that came from. Shout out to TDECU. Shout out to Texans Turf for rolling through. Shout out to DeMeco for being a Patriot. Ain't no problem with that. Or is there? We'll see. How bad can stuff get? Surely they can win against the Titans, right? Book your bet, -7. I don't know how confident y'all will be. Shout out to Sleeper. So here's my Sleeper pick this week. And shout out to Sleeper for being the best sports app in the game. The score, I'll be honest. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that adjusting your score app is an easy thing, because we all have muscle memory when it comes to using the score apps that we've used. But we also realize that they suck now and they're lazy. They don't necessarily keep up with games as much as they once did, but Sleeper does. And Sleeper also has the higher lower game, which I think is the best in the game. 100%. And they also have the best score app. They have the best interaction, all that. And you can get a $100 deposit match up to $100. Use the promo code LOCKER if you want to use Sleeper. And the score app is the best. It's the best. You do have to kind of train the muscles. I'll be honest. I'm not going to sit here and act like it's an easy transition, but you do have to do it if you're used to just going to the same game logs. But once you do it, it is better, and that's what I've done, and I've enjoyed my experience a hell of a lot more. And another perk of that is I get to play the higher lower game, which I'm going to play here in the locker room. So here's what we're going with. We're going with Captain Kirk over 3.5. I think they're going to try to force the quick game. It might be awkward. He might have 4 catches for -8 yards, but I feel like Nick, Bill O'Brien, Caley is going to force the ball to
Captain Kirk has arrived. I repeat, Captain Kirk has arrived.
So we're going to go over 3.5 Christian Kirk catches. Nico Collins, we know he's pissed off. So we're going to go over 70.5 yards, which even if he wasn't pissed off, he's a dog no matter what. So we're going to take that. Nick Chubb, let's be serious, 52.5. If you've taken the under in yards for Nick Chubb, I feel like you've won every week, at least that part of the higher lower. And then Josh Allen against the Saints, we're just going to take the bunny because you have to have 2 more teams, 2 or more teams, 1.5 passing TDs. So that's my thing. 8.73, $5 in this game of skill gives you over $40. So that's where we're going. Captain Kirk over 3.5 receptions. Nico 70.5. Chubb 52.5. Allen 1.5. I actually feel really good about this one. Feel very, very solid about this one. Shout out to Sleeper. Go ahead and use that promo code LOCKER if you go through and use it as your score app. Shout out to Sleeper on the Super Chat.
You ain't never hate.
Swarm.
Some good college ball on right now, by the way. Michael R says good night. Good night to you, man. Good night to you, my friend. Appreciate you for rolling through. Poor boy Jay says, can I get a high grade soundbite, please? Probably the best sound bites I've ever heard.
High-grade marijuana called Kush on the streets.
Rest in peace to Richard Durrett. Pour one out for my homies. How could it be? They took my boy from me. All right. Appreciate y'all for rolling through. Subscribe, like, right along. Always remember, whether DeMeco's the Patriot way or he's the Texans way, or he's both. When it comes to this Texan stuff, we're all in it together. Appreciate y'all for rolling through. All love. Thanks to everyone who came through. Ed Spankies. Appreciate it.
If it's up, then it's up. We number 1. You don't need to try your luck. Locker room, yeah, we in the locker room. Texas talk, yeah, you know what we about to do. Localize, every angle's what we really do. We the source, we the pulse of the city too.